So we will go ahead and get started. Just coming to a comfortable seated position. So find a cross-legged position, grounding down onto the floor. And then we'll start our practice tonight just with connecting with our breath. So we'll go ahead, close the eyes, just allow the hands to rest on the knees or the lap. Have them palms facing up. And so without changing anything, we'll just start to become aware of the breath. So just notice it flowing in and out of the body. Just becoming aware of whether it's feeling deep or shallow, fast or slow. We will start to take some control over our breath here, start to really lengthen and deepen our inhales and exhales. So all together, we'll take a nice big breath here through the nose. And as you breathe in, really focus on sending that breath deep into the low belly. Picture the belly expanding from the bottom up to the top. Then go ahead and send the breath back out. So feel it flowing from the belly, up the throat, back out the nose. Good, so we'll take about 3 more rounds here of our deep belly breathing. So with each cycle of breath, we'll try to come a little bit deeper, make that breath a little bit longer than the one that came before it. So big inhale here. Think of the belly expanding like a balloon as we breathe in. Exhale, let the belly soften. Sending the breath back out through the nose. Good, another big breath in. Exhale, let it go. So last big breath here. We'll try to make this our deepest one of the day. So really send it deep into the belly. Think about filling up the belly to the diaphragm. Maybe breathing all the way up into the collarbones. Then we'll exhale, allow the belly to soften. Feel the breath flow back out through the nose. And so as we move into our yoga practice tonight, we will try to stay connected with our breath. So be mindful, trying to take some of those deep inhales and exhales when we move into our poses. So if the eyes are closed, you can slowly start to flutter them open. Good, from here, we'll remain seated and we'll just start to stretch out the arms here. So we'll take a nice big inhale breath, reach the arms up overhead, lengthen the fingertips to the sky here. Good, and then from here, we'll plant the left hand down, reach the right arm up and over to the side. Nice little side stretch here. Now we'll go into the opposite side. So right hand comes down, left arm can reach up and over. And just bending over as far as feels good. Perfect. And then we'll just start to sway from side to side here. So feel free to move at your own pace. Maybe going a little bit faster, a little bit slower than me. And if as we come from side to side, you want to come a little bit deeper in the side body, go right ahead. Maybe you'll come down to forearm onto the ground, reaching the opposite arm up and over. Or maybe it feels better for you to keep a taller spine here. So just move at your own pace. We'll go about 1 more time to each side. Good, we'll come back up to center here. Reach both arms back up. Really find length through the fingers, through the arms here. And then we'll find a little twist. So opening over to the right side, we're gonna bring that left hand over to the right knee. Hook your hand onto the knee and then just press the upper body over to that right side. So the right hand can ground down, just coming behind you. And then as we twist over to the right, we wanna have a nice long back here and really lengthen through the chest here. So keeping the upper body nice and strong. And we'll hold for one more breath on this side. And then we'll gently release. Come back to center. Inhale the arms back up overhead. And then when you're ready, we'll exhale to the left side. So right hand comes to the outside of that left knee. Left hand can plant down behind you. Really start to twist the upper body here. Maybe even looking over the left shoulder. And one more breath on this side. And then we'll twist the upper body back towards center. Inhale the arms up overhead. We'll bring the hands together, lower down to heart center. Good, take a breath here. And release. Just bring the hands back by your side. Now we'll start to wake up the legs a little bit. So we'll start by extending the left leg long. We'll cross the right leg over top, keeping a bent knee. Plant that foot on the mat. And then from here, we'll bring the left elbow across that right leg. So kind of finding another little twist here, but this time we're also including the leg. So you can hug the knee in towards your body with the elbow, or you can kind of press off the elbow and twist over to the right side. And then breathe. One more breath on this side. And then we'll gently come back to center here. Uncross the legs. We'll stretch them both out long for a moment. And then when you're ready, we'll bring the left leg over top this time. So grounding down, finding your framework here through the legs first. So planting that left foot. And then we'll start to twist the upper body. So choosing whether it feels good to draw the knee in towards you or to just hook the elbow over top of the knee. And turning back over the left side. Holding for one more breath in this little twist. Perfect, and then we'll slowly start to unravel everything here. We'll find a wide-legged forward fold. So bring your feet quite wide here. If you're on a yoga mat, you can be on the wide edge of your mat. We'll take a minute here to make the back nice and tall. So give the shoulders a little roll up, back, and down. Nice long spine here. Think about the crown of the head all the way down to the sit bones being a nice long line. And then from here, you can choose to stay just as you are, or maybe it'll feel good for you to slowly start to bring the upper body forward. So if so, you can just walk your hands forward, and maybe your upper body will come down. So if you're fairly flexible, or you've done lots of yoga, maybe you want to come down to forearms. You can start to round the back body a little bit here. So wherever you are in forward fold, we'll hold for about 3 cycles of breath. Big, deep inhale. Long, slow exhale. And a couple more breaths here. So if you want to come a little bit deeper, go ahead and lower yourself as far as feels good. Maybe your forehead will even come down to the mat. We'll hold for one more big inhale. Long, slow exhale. And then we'll gently start to bring the upper body back up. So first of all, just finding that nice, long, tall spine. Then when you're ready, we'll draw the legs in. Bend the knees here, plant the feet on the mat, and give yourself a nice big hug. So just gonna round the back here, tucking that chin to the chest. You can bring your hands over top of the shins, making yourself into a tight little ball. Good, and we'll slowly start to come out of our ball here. So let's find tabletop pose, coming onto hands and knees. So from here, we'll begin to wake up the spine. So we'll move through a few rounds of our cat-cows. So you can choose to just allow the tops of the feet to rest on the mat, or maybe it'll feel good to kind of stretch out those feet. And if so, you can tuck the toes. From here, we'll start with a cow pose today. So we'll take a big inhale, let the belly drop towards the mat, and bring the head up so you're looking either out in front of you or maybe up towards the ceiling. Good, big inhale. And then we'll round the back body here, tuck the chin in, exhale, cat. And moving back into cow, big in breath here. Let the belly fall, gaze comes up. Exhale, cat pose, round the back, pulling the belly button into the spine here. Good, we'll move through a couple more rounds of cat-cow, so just go at your own pace. Perfect, and then from here, we'll come back to your neutral spine. If you didn't have your toes tucked, you can go ahead and tuck them under. We're gonna find our little toe stretch here. So if you need to reach back, give yourself a little assist. You can tuck all the toes under, and then slowly start to walk our hands a little bit closer to the body. You can keep the hands resting on the mat, or if it feels okay to bring them off, you can just place your hands on top of the thighs. So from here, you should feel a nice stretch in the foot and the toes. And choosing here to let your hands just rest on the body. It might feel good to start to open up the chest as well. So if so, you can join me in just reaching the arms back behind you. Maybe interlock the hands and just start to open up through the heart here. Wherever you are, we'll hold for 2 more cycles of breath. Good. If you did reach the hands behind the back body, we'll slowly start to release that grip. We'll bring our hands back down, coming onto the mat. And then we'll slowly, gently untuck the toes here. Just allow the tops of the feet to rest on the mat. You can wiggle the toes, maybe move the feet up and down a couple times here. Good. Perfect. From here, we'll find our bird dog pose. So we'll start just by bringing some movement to the legs. So we'll keep the hands rooted into the ground here. We're just going to straighten and flex the left leg. So bring length into that leg, flex the toes. You can take a little ankle circle here if that feels good. Perfect. And then from here, we'll extend the opposite arm. So let's bring the right arm along. So reaching from the right fingertips all the way down to the left toes. Think about a nice long line through the spine here. And then from here, we'll hug the elbow to the knee. So coming across underneath the body here, opposite elbow, opposite knee draws in, lengthen and extend. Good, let's do that 2 more times. Knee to elbow and extend. Perfect, last one here. Hug that knee to elbow and extend it long. Reach, 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 and release back to tabletop. Good, take a breath here. And then we'll get ready for the opposite side. So this time we'll send the right leg long. So take a minute just to find the stretch through the leg there. Maybe wiggle the toes, roll the ankle out a bit. Good, and whenever you're ready, we'll find our balance by lifting the left arm up. So find that nice long line here, left arm extended, right leg. And then we'll start to draw knee to elbow. Hug it in. Good, lengthen and extend, send the arm long, leg long, and draw it in. Good, stretch everything back out. Last time here, knee to elbow. Good, and extend, nice long line here. Beautiful, let's bring the hand back down to the mat, bring the knee back down. We'll find a wide-legged child's pose. So bring the knees fairly wide. Bring the big toes to touch, and then we'll press through the hands, sit the hips back here. Coming all the way down, child's pose. We'll bring our forehead close to the ground. And if it does come all the way down, just allow the forehead to rest heavy. Arms should be nice and long, extended out in front of you. And so as we're reaching here in our child's pose, we'll have the arms straight out in front to start with. So if you want to find a little bit more length here, keep the legs and the feet, everything in the lower body just as it is. And then we'll just start to stretch the arms a little bit longer. Lift up the fingertips. So we've still got the fingertips touching, but kind of bringing the hands off and then lower everything back down. That just helps to find a little bit more length in the arms. And then from here, we'll focus on keeping the head connected with the mat, and we're just gonna arch the arms to walk over to the right side. So the right fingertips can just crawl over to the right. That'll just add a nice stretch here through the left side body. And from here, let's walk the fingertips back to center. And then we'll turn them over to the left side. So just lifting the hands up here, walking those fingertips all the way over to the left, keeping the forehead rested on the mat. Good. One more breath over here. And then we'll draw the hands back into center. So reaching straight out in front of us. Perfect. From here, let's press ourselves back up to tabletop for a moment. We're going to find a camel pose. So for camel, we'll rise up onto the knees. So we've got bent legs here. Just allow the shin and feet to rest on the mat. First of all, we'll find length through the spine here. So roll the shoulders back. And then our first variation of camel pose will just be to bring our hands to our low back. Just gonna turn a little bit so you can see here. So just bringing our hands together at the low back, we'll bring our gaze up slightly towards the ceiling. So that might feel like a pretty good stretch for your back already. So feel free to stay right there. Good, if you wanna deepen it a little bit more, you can just start to look up a little bit further. So what we really wanna be mindful in camel pose is that we're being gentle on the neck. So if it feels good to look up, look up. If not, just keep your gaze right out in front of you. And breathe. And we're just gonna hold here for 2 more breaths. So we really wanna have a nice C shape here through the chest. So you can really open up the heart space here, maybe push the arms back behind you. And breathe. Good, last breath here. Perfect, so we'll start by releasing the hands by our side. Slowly bring our gaze back up. If you were looking up to the roof, just bring your gaze straight out in front of you. And then we're gonna come back onto the hands, onto the knees here. Take a breath. We'll sway the hips from side to side here. Just loosen everything up. Perfect. All right, from here, we're gonna start to pick up the pace a little bit here as we move through kind of the main portion of our class. So let's go ahead and find our downward dog. So send the hips high, really pressing the hands and the feet into the mat. Take a moment to settle into your downward dog. So you can bend the knees a little bit, maybe pedal the feet out. Good. And whenever you're ready, we'll start to make our way towards the top of the mat. So just gently starting to step the feet forward. Let's find a little forward fold here. So your hands can be on top of the shins in forward fold, or maybe they'll reach down to the floor. If it feels good, you can always grab onto opposite elbows. Maybe just finding a little sway here from side to side. Good, if you did grab for opposite elbows, go ahead, release the grip. And then we'll sweep the arms up overhead. Big inhale breath as we rise up to standing. Reach for the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Good. From here, we'll come back down to forward fold. And then we'll plant our hands on the mat. We're just going to step ourselves back, coming into kind of a modified plank here. So we'll come onto our knees. And then from here, we'll slowly lower belly all the way down to the mat. Good, so coming down onto the front body. From here, we're gonna find a couple poses on the stomach. So we will start with our Superman pose. I think we've done this one before. So we'll have the legs stretched out long. Bring the arms by your sides on either side of the body. Palms will be facing down towards the ground. So for this one, we'll take a big inhale breath. And then on the exhale, lift the arms up, lift the legs up here. Think about everything flying. So we want to keep our gaze down towards the mat. So we're not wrenching on our neck up, but just out in front of you. Really see if you can lift the arms and the legs just a little bit higher here. Good, one more breath. And release, good job. If it feels good, you can stack the hands here. Bring your forehead just down on top of the hands. Catch your breath. And we'll do that one more time. So we'll bring the hands back by our sides. This time we're gonna see if we can keep the legs zipped together here. So bring the legs totally together. Feet can be touching, top of the legs touching. And before we lift up here, also be mindful of the arms. So we don't want them way out to the side, but see if we can keep them hugged in tight, close to the body, but lifting up off the mat. All right, so let's get ready for Superman here. Big inhale breath. Good, exhale, lift everything up and fly. Good, focus on keeping those legs zipped together. Arms right by our side here. Holding for 2 more breaths. Perfect. Slowly start to release down. Good job. And then just allow your head to rest heavy. You can rest your forehead on stacked hands or just come over to one cheek resting on the mat. Good. So our next pose we'll find here is our bow pose. So I know we've done this one before. We'll do it twice as well. So if you want to take a half bow, we'll start just by reaching back for 1 foot. So when we take bow pose, we always bring our hand to the inside of the foot. So it really doesn't matter what leg you want to start with. Go ahead and grab onto one of your feet here. Or if you want to do full bow, you can grab for the inside of both of them. So wherever you are in this one, we'll take a nice big inhale. On the exhale, kick that foot back into the hand. So picking the leg up off the mat, stretching through the shoulder and the arm. If you're in half bow, you can have the opposite forearm down on the mat here for support. Good, breathe. One more breath here. Good, and we'll slowly start to come out of this one. So think about lowering the belly and the chest down first, and then let go of your foot. Just let it fall back down to the mat. And then we'll rest one cheek down. Good, take a minute, catch your breath. Whenever you're ready, we'll prepare for the opposite side. So go ahead and find your grip here on the opposite foot, or if you're doing full bow again, you can grab for both feet. All right, so everybody ready here? Big inhale breath. On the exhale, we'll kick that foot into the hand here. Starting to pick the chest up, pick the leg up off the mat. Good. Reaching through that shoulder, extending the leg. One more breath. And slowly release the foot. So bring everything down first, then release your grip. And just allow the entire body to relax here. Perfect. From here, we'll come back to our tabletop. And then we'll Tuck the toes here, send the hips high, downward dog. Good, we'll find a low lunge here. So let's step forward with our left foot, bringing the foot between the hands, and then lower that back knee down to the mat. Good, from here, we'll sweep the arms up overhead. So reaching fingertips to the sky. Good, take a minute just to steady yourself here and breathe. Perfect. And then from here, if you want to add a little bit more of a stretch through the right hip flexor, you can just start to walk that front foot a little bit more forward. That just deepens the stretch here. And choose to keep the arms reaching up overhead, or maybe bring them to heart center. Good, if they find their way to heart center, we can choose to keep them right here, or maybe add a little twist in. So this time you can just turn the upper body, coming over to the left side. Perfect. One breath here. And then we'll start to square the chest back to center. Good. From here, we'll release our hands to frame the front foot. And then we're just going to find our half split. So for half splits, we start to straighten that front leg, sit the hips back a little bit. So use your hands. If you want to come up on the fingertips, go ahead and find that variation, or hands can be planted. So it's okay to have a bend in that front knee. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to deepen and lengthen your stretch, you can find more of a straight leg here. This should feel like a really nice stretch through the underside of the leg. If you want to fold the chest down, you can go ahead and round the back body. Maybe think about that forehead coming on top of the shin. Good, we'll hold for 2 more breaths on this side. All right, and then we'll start to come back forward. So bending the left knee, plant the hands down. We'll pick the back leg up off the mat, and then we'll send both feet back here, downward facing dog. Perfect, pedal out your dog here, take a minute, bend the knees, and then we'll find low lunge on the other side. So this time we'll step that right foot between the hands, lower left knee down. Good, take a minute to just find that nice strong foundation with the legs, and then we'll inhale, reach the arms long, fingertips lengthen for the sky here. Good, so as we're holding in low lunge here, we've got lots of things going on. We'll feel a nice stretch through the legs as we're lunging in both legs. Really think about engaging your core as well. So whenever I think about activating the ab muscles, I picture that my belly button is drawing in towards the back of the spine. So really hug the core in, reach the arms up here. And if you want to bring the front leg a little bit more forward, that'll just deepen the stretch in the leg. So your body, your practice here to do whatever feels good. We'll bring hands to heart center. And then you can choose to keep them at heart center, just looking forward again. Or if you want to add a little bit of a twist in the upper body, we'll just start to turn over to the right side this time. Good, and breathe. All right, we'll come back to center here. Bring your hands to plant on either side of that front foot. And then we'll start to sit our hips back, straighten that right leg, finding our half splits on this side. Good. So you can play around with your stance here. If you want to move the hands a little bit closer to the body, go right ahead. And again, if your upper body's up tall, that's perfectly fine. Or if you want to round yourself and bring the chest down, go right ahead. Just holding for a couple more breaths here. Good. From here, we'll start to bend that front leg. Bring the hands back to frame that foot. Pick up off the back knee, and then we'll bring the right foot back. Take a breath here. Pedal things out, downward dog. All right. From here, we're going to come into our standing warrior poses. So we'll do our warrior 2 variations tonight. So let's go ahead and find our 3-legged dog. So we'll send that left leg long. Lengthen and extend, and then when you're ready, we'll bend that knee, step the left foot forward. From here, we're gonna rise up. So finding our warrior two. All right, so find that nice strong foundation with the legs here. We got a nice bend in that front leg, back leg straight. Reach the arms out long on either side of the body. And good, from here, we're gonna reverse our warrior. So turn the left palm up towards the ceiling. We're gonna sweep that arm up and over. So the right hand can start to come down the back body. So this will feel like a really nice stretch here through that left side. You can bring the gaze up to the ceiling if that feels okay in your neck. Good, from here we're gonna come forward side angle. So left elbow, top of the left thigh. Reach that right arm up overhead. So I always like to think about a nice long line here from the right fingertips down to the right foot. Good job. Breathe. All right, we'll come back up. Warrior two again here. Take one more breath. And then from here, we're just gonna cartwheel our arms. Come back into our downward dog. So when you're ready, plant the hands. Send the left foot back up, three-legged dog. And release that foot back down. Beautiful. Walk the feet out. And then you can join me in extending the right leg. So three-legged dog on the right side this time. We'll bend the knees, step the right foot forward, plant that foot, and we'll rise up here. Warrior two on the right side. So give yourself a minute here to find that good alignment with the legs. So we want the feet perpendicular to each other. So back foot in line with the mat, front foot coming straight out. Nice big lunge in the legs. Reach the arms out on either side. Good, strong warrior poses here. Then let's turn the right palm up towards the ceiling. Sweep that right arm up overhead. Left hand can come down the back leg. Lengthen and extend through the right side. Then from here, we're gonna come forward, bring the right elbow top of the right thigh. Send that left arm up overhead, side angle pose. Beautiful, let's come back up here, warrior two. One more breath here. Again, and before we make our way back down to the mat, we're just gonna straighten the front leg, turn both feet in to face each other. So we've still got a fairly wide stance, so we can bring the feet a little bit closer. So maybe just a bit wider than hip width. Then we'll actually point our feet out a little bit. Good, so we're gonna find goddess pose. I always like to do this one after warrior because I feel like it's a really strong pose. So let's bring our hands to hips, or you can go right to heart center. We're just gonna start to sink down in the legs here. So I like to keep a nice long spine, so nice strong back body here. Sink down in the legs, bring the hands to heart center. Good, and then from here, we're gonna do 5 little pulses. So you can balance and pulse a little bit here. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Awesome. From here, we're gonna find a star pose. So just straightening the arms, straightening the legs, reaching everything up and extending. Beautiful. Good, let's come into a wide-legged forward fold. So bring the feet back to face forward, hinge at the hips, and we'll come all the way down. So from here, your hands can come down to the mat. If they don't quite make it to the mat, that's okay. You can just grab onto the lower part of the legs. It might feel good here to even grab onto the outside of the feet. So in our wide-legged forward fold, you can have a bit of a bend in the knees, or they can be straight legs. So go whatever your body's asking for here. I'm just gonna add a little rock in here from side to side. And then if you are grabbing the outside of the feet, you can send the elbows wide and actually just pull yourself down a little bit closer to the mat. So wherever you are in forward fold, we're gonna hold for 2 more breaths. Good. If you did grab onto the outside of the feet, gently release. We'll bring the hands down in front. So if you need to bend your knees, go ahead. We'll find our hands out in front of us. Then we're going to come into Skandasana pose. So we'll do that one on each side. So let's start with the right side. So we're just going to start to bend into the right knee, straighten that left leg up. So find the mat with your heel, toes pointing up. And then you can have your hands out in front of you on the mat there for support. Or if it feels good, you can bring hands to heart center. Good. 2 breaths on this side. Awesome. Let's go to the other side now. So to push ourselves over there, we'll bring our hands down to the mat first. Then we're going to send the hips high. Start to bend into the right leg. Plant the right foot down. Left leg lengthens. Point the left toes up towards the ceiling. Good. Hands can be on the mat in front of you, or maybe they'll find heart center. Good. And breathe. All right. We'll start to come back into that fold here. So bending both legs, plant both feet on the mat. And just let your body hang heavy for a moment. And then when you're ready, we'll step the feet together. And we're just going to turn into our downward dog. So last downward dog of our practice tonight. Take a minute here, pedal the knees out. Good. Whenever you're ready, we'll come back down. So lower the knees. And then we're just going to find a narrow-legged child's pose this time. So when we do a narrow-legged one, we call it embryo. So what I mean by that is we bring the knees right together instead of being wide. And then we'll sit our hips back onto the feet. Good. Instead of bringing our hands right out in front, we'll focus on just letting them fall beside the body here. So if it feels better, you definitely can bring them in front. But maybe just try it and see how this feels for the shoulders. So we're just going to bring our head down to the mat. Arms extended long, hands are reaching towards the toes. And then we'll kind of tuck our chin in here. So really making a nice round back body. And your forehead can come down, or maybe even the top of the head will rest down. So wherever you come to in our embryo, we'll hold for 2 breaths. Excellent. We're going to slowly start to press ourselves up. So bring the hands back in front. Good. You can press yourself into a tabletop. And then we'll come to a comfortable seated position. We're going to start to slow things down, stretch everything out. So let's come into fire log pose. So we'll start with the left leg on the bottom. So we're going to think about stacking our legs here. So we want to have our knees and our ankles stacked on top of each other. So take a minute just to find that alignment. I think I've mentioned before too, if you ever feel like there's too much pressure between the feet and the knees, the ankles and the knees here, you can always use a blanket or a towel or something just to place in between your legs. Good. So we'll hold in this one for a little bit longer stretch, probably about 5 breaths on this side. So we'll start with that nice, long, tall spine again. Hands can just be resting on your lap or maybe down beside you. And we'll start to check in with our breath here. So just notice if maybe your breath has really sped up as we were doing some of those standing poses. And just see if you can start to slow things down. So returning to that deep belly breathing. Good, and then from here, if you do want to bring your upper body forward, we can add in a little fold. So if you want to bring the hands out in front, you can slowly start to come down to forearms. And just let the head rest heavy. we're slowly gonna start to come out of this side. So if you did bring the upper body forward, let's walk it back up. And then we'll slowly unravel the legs here. So plant the soles of both feet on the mat. We'll have a nice bend in the knees. And then we're just gonna windshield wiper the legs from side to side. So just letting the knees fall from one side and then the other. A couple times to each side. Okay, and then we will find our fire log on the opposite side. So this time we're gonna start with the right leg down. We'll go ahead and bring that left leg on top. So stacking the ankles and the knees again here. Let's take a minute to just straighten the upper body, maybe roll the shoulders back. Nice, long, tall spine here. So again, holding on this side for about 5 breaths. And then if it feels good for you to bend the upper body and come forward, go ahead. Find whatever variation your body's asking for. So if you did bring the chest forward on the mat, we'll slowly start to come back up. And again, we'll gently unravel those legs, plant the soles of the feet back on the mat, and then just let the knees fall from side to side here. Should feel really good just to loosen up the hips and the knees. Good, so whenever you're ready, we'll turn over onto the back body. Just gonna straighten my mats out here. So let's come all the way down. Good, we'll keep the knees bent, soles of the feet planted on the mat. We're gonna find a bridge pose. So from here, let's just bring our hands on either side of the body. Big inhale, and on the exhale, we'll press through the feet, lift the sit bones up off the mat here. So I like to think about kind of making a nice long line from the shoulders all the way to the knees, engaging our core as we hug everything up here. And one more breath. Good, and then we'll slowly release the sit bones back down there. Good job. All right, from here, we're gonna find happy baby pose. So we'll pick the feet up off the mat, bend the knees. You can use your peace fingers here to grab onto the big toes. So just looping the fingers around the big toes. And then let yourself rock a little bit. Rock and sway from side to side. Bending the knees as much as feels good, maybe a little or a lot. Sometimes I like to straighten one leg at a time here in Happy Baby. So if that feels good for you, go ahead and find that version. Awesome, holding here for 2 more breaths. Okay, from here, we'll start to release our grip on the feet. So just bring the arms back down beside you. Let's straighten the legs, finding a legs up the wall pose. So for this one, we'll try to straighten our legs. It's okay to have a bend there, but just as straight as you can get them. Take a minute to wiggle the toes out. Maybe roll those ankles out, see if there's any last little cracks and snaps in the joint there. Good, and then we'll find stillness for 2 breaths. So just flexing our feet. I like to imagine I'm standing on the roof. So we've got a nice flat foot here, legs extended. And breathe, big inhale. Slow exhale. Good. From here, we'll find one last pose on each side before we come into Shavasana. We're going to take a shoelace pose. So for this one, we're just going to crisscross the legs. So I'm going to bring my right leg on top of the left and then grab onto either like the lower part of the leg or the feet. So we should have our knees kind of stacked here. And then as you grab onto your feet or your legs, you can hug the knees in a little bit closer to the body. So the deeper the stretch will be, the closer you hug those legs in, the deeper that stretch is going to be. So play around with this one. Good. One more breath here. And then we'll just release our grip on the feet, untangle the legs, extend them straight up for a moment. And then we'll find that pose on the opposite side. So this time, left leg's gonna crisscross over. Line up the knees here, and then grab onto the outside of the feet or the lower part of the legs again. And then just hug those knees in towards the chest. Last chance here if you want to draw the knees in a little bit closer to the body. And then we'll gently start to unravel the legs. Let's send the legs long one more time here. And then we'll bring the feet down to the mat. We'll start to settle into our Shavasana. So just lengthen and extend the legs. Let the heels rest heavy. Toes can just turn out wherever they fall. Good. Let the hips sink into the mat. And just allow the arms to rest by your side, palms facing up. And soften the shoulders. Just let the body, the back of the body relax. Unclench the jaw. Close the eyes. See if you can soften the entire body. Just let everything sink into the earth. We'll slowly start to come out of Shavasana here. So just opening the eyes, we'll turn over onto one side of the body. You can bend the knees here. Just take a couple of breaths. Whenever you're ready, we'll come back to that comfortable cross-legged position. So ending our practice just how we started. Cross the legs. We'll take 2 more breaths all together here. So nice big inhale breath. Reach arms up overhead. And exhale, hands to heart center. Good, last breath all together. Nice deep breath through the nose. Exhale back out through the nose. Good, job, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining me for yoga tonight. Hope you have a good rest of your evening. We'll see you next time.